Ever since the birth of the westernized, industrialized, evolved practices of modern psychiatry, the Western world has greatly lost touch and true understanding into the deeper mystical and shamanic nature of accelerated subconscious states of being, the likes of what modern psychiatry calls today psychosis. What is classically termed, somewhat badly so, by modern psychiatry as the Jesus syndrome, the deeper subconscious state of impersonality is very much the God state. And this is what happens to personal self-reference when it plunges back into the greater, deeper depths of the subconscious, the greater impersonal self. As totally debasing, inhumane, backwards and barbaric, the very cruel, damaging standards of modern psychiatry were birthed from at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, predating back in our far wiser, compassionate times of our ancient traditions of the world, such as the shamanic and Buddhist traditions, as well as many other spiritual traditions. These far wiser established traditions very rightly understood such accelerated subconscious states of being for what they actually are, both earthly and spiritually, as a premature quickening and early opening up into shamanic and mystical identity, which many young aspiring mystics and shamans experienced episodically on numerous occasions in their early life before coming into proper ripening and full mystic shamanic identity. If we were to learn right and well from our wiser ancients, when nurtured in the right environment, such premature mystical experiences, as trying and testing as they may have been, may not need be so overwhelming and scary, but can eventually serve to develop the aspirant into good, well, healthy growth, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so, until the time comes for them when they have properly ripened into full shamanic mystic identity. From the first unripe initiating experiences encountered, and depending on the aspirant's inclination and latent abilities, ripening further into full mystical identity may take years, or it may only take months. It just depends on the natural inclination of the aspirant, as well as the impersonal power of divine grace, which always has the final ultimate say in such mystical things. And with such things of the shamanic mystic path, this is always the essential relationship between active action, the aspirant's striving efforts, and passive action, spiritual grace, which when the right amount of active action is achieved, spiritual grace then comes upon the aspirant to bring them into union with the All, via the eternal ever-presence of the divine. Once the peak experience of mystical union is achieved, reference of personal identity is completely lost into the greater impersonal identity of the divine, just like a wave retreating and surrendering back into the ocean. And as far as earthly calculation is concerned, no matter how long we are received into that boundless eternal God state, which in most circumstances is for a brief period relatively so, we do eventually come back, most involuntarily, to our localized reference of personal self once again, and carry on with life as usual, but now with eternity and God fully realized and established in us as a direct knowing, deeper within our being forever onwards from that peak mystical experience had. If the mystic union with the divine is a full and complete one, then the aspirant does not usually desire, crave for further unitive encounters with the Lord, as the initial completed one is ample enough to sustain the aspirant in much love and devotion towards life and God for the rest of their life onwards and beyond, being also greatly gifted with profound understanding into the deeper esoteric mysteries and principles of all reality and existence. And in this way, this is the spiritual ideal. For as is the case with many who encounter lesser mystical experiences, they become selfish and attached to have the experience over and over to get the ultimate one, and may spend a great deal of their earthly time afterwards desperately and selfishly chasing after it again and again for many, many years, which may never happen for them anyway. As many fall into this desperate way, it is far wiser and humbler of the aspirant, gratefully so, to be most content with just one initiating mystical experience of God union. For if it is the genuine, authentic one, then God truly becomes realized, and that can never be taken away, no matter how many more times we experience union, which will just be the very same thing again anyway, as heavenly blissful as it is. As always with the shamanic and mystic path, selflessness is the highest of all human and spiritual virtues, which is our true spiritual nature, and the nature of all bodhisattvas, those who put others' enlightenment ahead of their own. The immensely good thing about the shamanic journey and encountering mystical union with the divine is that it is a journey and experience each and every one of us may and can encounter at any time in life, early or late, young or old, as it being all our soul birthright as spiritual sparks of the divine. Such a divine spiritual mystical experience is open to all, without exception or preference, as it being all our original and ultimate identity in life and God. As always, peace and best mystic blessings to you all.